Hey all, welcome back to another Shaving with Hamad episode. This is episode 23, and this one is going to be a bit more technical than usual. I wanted to showcase a little more of my tools, methods, and the whole process of me doing a full shave. Let's briefly go over some of the tools I'll be using. Here we have a horsehair brush. I've been using it for several months now, big fan. For years before I used this Badger one, and it served me well, but I found this one horsehair to be a lot better, covers more spread, and I feel like it lathers much better, and this has served its purpose, but I'm a fan of this one now. As usual, for about a year now, I've been a big fan of this double-edged safety razor. As you can see, for those that do not know, here is where the blade is located, and you insert it into this razor, and the blades themselves, you can get about 100 of them for 10 bucks. It may last you a year. Pretty good value in my opinion. As I've been thinking about my production value of my series lately, there's some improvements I do want to make. As you'll notice over there on the side, I have included a progress bar with my face on each end, indicating the progress of my shave. This hopes to better guide my viewers and know what part of the video they're at, as to give a better clue and make you not feel as lost sometimes. So, as we start a more focused video, the key to a great start is a great lather. If you're using a bowl or a mug, take just a little more than this dime size of shaving cream, put it on top of your brush, spread it in here. You should have a nice lather ready to apply to your face. Before, always make sure that your face is moist with hot water. Just remember to make sure you have a very thick coating. And for now, I do have about a week's worth of facial hair, which is about the usual for me as of late. I found this to be a nicer shave in that it's a nice feeling after it's all said and done. Now that my razor is a little hot and ready to shave, let's go. Before I start, one tip to keep in mind: if you do use this for a single edge safety razor, go for a 45-degree angle depending on the direction you're coming in. First, we're going to start with going with the grain. This is basically how you want to start, and makes for an easier shave. One tip to keep in mind is to make sure that you let the blade do all the work. No need to put pressure on your face. You don't need to put the effort that you'd put in to use a butter knife to cut a steak. Nice and light. A little pressure will do, but no need to mow the lawn that hard. Just with this light touch, I feel like a good chunk of this facial hair is already off. So it makes it very nice, easy, and relaxing. As we're about done with this first pass, it feels pretty nice and light so far. And usually when I grow this much hair, I can get a lot to come off after cleaning my face after the first pass. One thing to have when you do this kind of shave is patience. You're not going to usually get almost all of it off the first pass. It's about refinement and tuning each time in. Just let it come to itself and you'll do great. Now that the first pass is done, I feel like I got a good, decent amount of hair off. And may not look as much, but like I said, it's one step at a time. This time we will be going with the grain, either going up or down. Depending on how you do on this one and the one before, you may need to find yourself going with the grain in one direction, and the next pass going with the grain in the opposite direction. For example, my sideburn hair goes this way down, so I may find myself going with the grain coming down or with the grain coming up. One thing to keep in mind as you figure out how the facial hair grows in your face is that the grain goes in different directions based on where it is, and that's something you need to keep in mind as you refine your technique on knowing on which angles you need to be at depending on where you are at your face. Now that my face is coated, let's get this next pass starting. So, go down lightly. It's okay to go over some areas that you just went down like I did. Just make sure that you still don't put too much pressure. So on my chin, the hair actually comes down like this, so you'll find myself going across this way. We're already almost done with the second pass, so I'm feeling pretty good so far. One thing that I've always had trouble the most with is making sure that I let my blade do all the work. It's very tempting to push down, try to scrape as much hair as you want right there. Don't fall for it. Patience, my friends. Even as I'm tuning up this area, I'm still not putting that much pressure. I'm letting the angles and the way I'm pushing my face do all the work for me instead of having to hack down in my face with the blade. This time I went with the grain, going down usually. I will now go the opposite way and show you what that looks like. This feels like a pretty good coating so far, so I'm excited to start this next pass. All right, let's do this. One way to know that it feels good and you're doing well is that sound you hear as the blade is gliding across your face with the little resistance that comes with it, but it's the sound as if you're pushing very coarse sand through the ground, is what maybe I imagine it to sound like. You may have noticed over here, just a little blood, not too bad. It's something that probably came in the lapse of the moment, a little too much pressure. Happens to the best of us, and even just the littlest of more pressure than needed can cause something like that. This is one of my better shaves as of lately. I felt like in a little of a slump, but we're still doing not too bad at all. As we get ready for this final pass, let's kind of review what we went over so far. Proper angles for your blade. Depending on which direction you're coming in, I recommend, and others do as well, about 45 degrees. It's worked pretty well for me. If not 45, you could argue for 35 as well, based on how pinpoint and accurate you want to be. Next, start with going with the grain, across the grain, once or twice in either direction, up to you, and finally against the grain. And even though this might be my final pass, depending on how close a shave you desire, I recommend just tuning up a little bit with however you like and which direction you'd go against. It's all up to how you want it to look in the end. One thing that I've stressed in earlier videos is that it's sometimes hard to talk while I'm shaving depending on where it is. Usually because the throat right here, it's moving a lot when I'm talking. It's kind of hard to shave and talk while I'm in this area. Maybe it's something I can get good at. That will be quite the skill. One thing to keep in mind as you go against the grain, whether if your last couple or your tune-up phase, is still letting the blade do the work. It is tempting to get that last piece off. Maybe you want to scrape and scratch hard against your face with your blade. I don't recommend. You'll end up with bumps and little cuts and nicks. It's very tempting and a little rookie-ish at first, and I still do it once in a while. It's when lacking discipline or trying to get past it all really fast. But you'll learn as after you wash your face, whether in the sink or in the shower, more of it will come off, and don't worry about it, even if you want a very close shave. Like I said, this will be my tune-up phase, and then we will be about done with today's video. Alright, I about finished tuning up with my face. Not as red as usual. Like I said, I try to be more patient, let the blade do more of the work, and not try to give as 100% close a shave. It'll look fine, and you'll still feel good after and even the next day. That's what I have noticed over the past couple of years. Now, what you want to do next is very important in taking care of your face. First of all, it's important to take care of your tools. I recommend washing both of these in hot water. You can do it at the same time, it doesn't matter. After that, you want to make sure you wash your face with some hot water. It can be the same one that you're using. After that, wash your face with some cold water to help seal up those pores for proper face care. As we get done finishing up this video, I would like to give out a few shout outs. First of all, Maggie, who I've shouted out before on Twitter. Been a loyal fan, she even contributed a shirt to the show. Great person. Next, some of my coworkers. Kevin, who I forgot to shout him out before, and he's given me some ideas to think about in terms of topics, and so shouts out to him. Nissa and Jason, who inspired me ergonomically with posture and all. Stephanie, she's got the memes. David, good shooty hoops talks. Cashrell, the homie. After drying up your face, now is the last part, aftershave. Like I mentioned before, I'm currently using the Art of Shaving Sandalwood Balm, and it served me well. It's a decent starter. Put about this much on my face. Spread it while it's on your face. It is certainly a nice feeling, and it helps feel like pretty refreshing in me at the very least. And then it helps possibly dry up my face. Not dry up, more keep it nice after all the work I did on it. This has been a very interesting and fun video to do for me. Learned a lot more about proper technique, even for myself. I always have much more to learn. And the future of this channel for the meantime. Thank you, and one more thing. Which kind of tea is good at hiding in its surroundings? Chamomile. Thank you, and goodbye.